Who are you and where are we?
I'm Jason Drees, and we're at my apartment here on 6th Street in Austin.
This is a perfect location.
It is a perfect location, yeah.
What do you want?
That's a big question. Right now, one of the biggest things I'm after is peace. Peace. Rest. A little more abundance. The past couple of years have been really tough in business. Finishing a divorce right now, which is challenging in more ways. Like, this year has been my 50th year, and it's been by far the most challenging year of my life. So what I really want is it to be fucking easier and not just like this, because it's been gut-wrenching and challenging.
What gives you peace?
That's a good question. I think the big thing right now is the divorce and getting over the ex. That's like, and what's creating peace right now is as much space I can get from that. That's kind of that. I'm not seeing my boys as much as I want to right now. I'm only seeing them once a week, which is tough. But right now, given the finances, I'm paying for 2 households. I couldn't find anything bigger, you know. So I see them less than I want. That's a little tough, but at the same time, this extra space has been very helpful. You know, it's funny being in the personal growth space for 12 years, professionally for 11 years, and thinking you got your shit together. Then life hits you with another level, you know. And I keep running into people like, because, you know, I'm a professional coach, so I'm surrounded by coaches, and when they started to hear my business seems like it's falling apart and my marriage is ending of 16 years at the same time, and I was a mess, they're like, I can't wait to see the Jason that comes out the other side. And I'm like, yeah, I want to meet that guy too. But right now, you're just in it, you know, in it. So I've been trying to focus on finding peace however I can. I have, of course, been using lots of different distractions to keep me company, to entertain me during this process, so I'm just not here grieving all by myself. But I think I'm starting to discover peace. And I think one of the other big things that's coming up for this is I'm starting to realize that my motivation that I operated under in business for a long time, like the motivation was fear-based. And what's happening right now is I'm kind of getting through the work I'm doing with the divorce is bringing up some childhood abandonment wounds and all that other bullshit that comes with it. Bringing that up is starting to heal that fear that was driving me, and it kind of led me to this place where I feel like I lost my motivation. But it seems like there's a new form of motivation rising up, as well as a new identity of me that's kind of rising. And it's a newer version, it's a more masculine, it's more present, it's more powerful, it's more grounded. So I'm becoming that version, and that's probably one of the most enjoyable parts of this process right now, is that evolution of that person, despite all of the other chaos that's going on right now.
Yeah. Fear-based, what are you afraid of?
Well, it was failing, running out of money, not being able to provide for the family. I've got 4 boys, expensive household. Never really took Brandon Turner's advice of avoid expense creep. Not at all. Had a lot of expense creep. So it was that fear of failure, financial scarcity, that was driving me.
Do you think this is helping overcome that?
It is, yeah. It's this downturn in business over the past 18 months has brought it front and center. And for my work, I know that the way to get through this is to align with the higher level version of you. But to do that, you have to do all the processing of the older version. And a lot of times I would try to just force the new version instead of going in and doing the work, because it doesn't feel good when you go down into that stuff. And I started to realize that I wasn't progressing because I had too much work and healing to do. And the more I started to focus on that, that's when I started to feel that newer, stronger side start to rise.
You talked about lifestyle creep.
Yeah.
It's like a epidemic problem.
Yeah.
Why do people do that?
Because most people are wired to think that stuff makes them happy. That's the way most people are wired. I'm wired that way. Most of the entrepreneurs I coach are wired that way. We're trying not to be. But just being genuinely happy right now in the present moment is a lot harder than it should be. It's like, it shouldn't be so hard to be happy. But we're bombarded with marketing and media that tells us we're not good enough, we gotta have six-pack abs, your wife needs to look like this. So the standards are thrown off, you know? And then this spending culture that we're in, you know? And that's why, you know, because I bought a boat and all this other stuff, because my income basically like 10x'd in a year. So it was kind of, and I've never been the most amazing at financial management, so that's kind of why I went that way.
Yeah, you'd be happy if I just had a cool car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool car. Well, of course I want a boat. Like, I'm in Austin, there's a lake right here, 10 minutes away. Like, coming from Southern California where lakes are 4 hours, it was like, you know.
Talk to me more about peace.
Peace. Peace is a new thing for me, actually.
It's an interesting word to me because I generally don't like peace. I avoid it like the plague.
Yeah, it's.
I don't know what it is. Tell me.
Yeah, I am normally live in chaos as well, with my personality style and how I operate. And I was kind of surprised when peace came up just right now, but I think the peace is really about that I'm after is out of all these crazy emotional reactions, out of this pain, out of the suffering, just be content, happy where you are right now. That's what peace is coming up to me like. Because I'm not, now I like the chaos, but my foundation has been rattled. So I can't handle the chaos with a rattled foundation.
You know what my 2025 word of the year is?
What's that?
Foundations. Tell me about that. What does that mean to you?
Synchronicities right there. Yeah. Well, it's like your foundation of like what you believe, what you know, your truth, your reality, and everything I thought I knew to be true, everything I thought was going okay, everything I believed on, that I took certainty on, is just crumbling away. And over this process of divorce that I'm on, I moved out of the house about 6 weeks ago. We've been separated for about 5 months before that. And it just felt like I'm literally losing who I am. Like I didn't know who I was anymore. I don't know what I know. And I also didn't have a ton of space to process or grieve because the business needed me as all hands on deck right there. So as I was working with my coaches, I'm like, I feel like I'm losing who I am. And I don't know anymore. And he says that's part of the process. Because that whole part of me, that old identity has to die for the new one to rise up. So what I'm seeing right now is this foundation that I operated my life off of what I believed and where I got my certainty and my strength and my confidence has been just destroyed. And at first it feels like you're falling into this gaping abyss. But what actually happens is you realize that that was a false foundation. And there's actually a stronger foundation underneath that. And one of the things I've been really focused on is I've been focused on this like new identity and this new mission and like, oh, I'm this masculine man and I do these things. And I realized that the new identity wasn't sticking. I did the exercises, I did the coaching tools, I did the belief changes, it wasn't sticking. And that's when I realized about a week ago, the reason that that's not sticking is because I'm not supposed to choose who I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to discover who I am. So as I'm starting to look in there, I'm starting to feel that rising. And that version is a more masculine version that's happy, that's powerful, that's controlled. So I wish the process could go faster, but that's how I would describe the foundation and changing.
In art, I used to try to decide on a style.
Yeah.
And I couldn't and still can't. And I realized that I have to go out and create what I feel like creating. Mm-hmm. And as I create a larger and larger book of a portfolio, I can look back and see a style. Yeah. And I feel like life is a lot of that. It's like you go do what you think you're supposed to do, and then you look back and you can define it later, but you can't choose.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's because I coach a lot of entrepreneurs, and a lot of them who have new businesses are trying to pick a niche. And I'm like, you don't pick a niche. You discover what you're doing is a niche. Yeah.
How hard is work right now coaching when you have all of this internal strife. It's got to be hard
Yeah.
to, you know, I've been low places in life. Everybody's
Yeah.
been low places in life. It's hard to
Yeah.
hold your head up high
Yeah.
when you go to work, you had a fight in the morning, or you're
Yeah.
you know, feeling insecure, and then you have to go hold your head up high
Yeah.
and help people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I've been coaching so long that coaching is like a state for me. So when I'm coaching, I go into the coaching state and I'm normal. It's everything around that's more challenging. And of all the work I do, I run the business, I coach clients, run a group coaching program, I do a mastermind, I do the marketing, I'm doing the social media because we had to downsize a few months ago. So I have more roles on me. It's where I'm impacted most is all those other areas. Coaching is the easiest thing to do. I wish I could spend more time coaching, but literally I'm probably coaching 25% of the time. And the 50% of the time is running the business and crap like that.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Peace. What's going to prevent you from having this peace, whatever it looks like?
What's going to prevent peace? The first thing that popped into my head was chaos.
Those are opposites.
They are. But
What's chaos? What does that mean?
lack of control. Lack of control. You know, it's because the chaos that I operate in, I would be in control of myself and the foundation I'm operating from. But right now, I feel like I'm on a shaky foundation. So what prevents peace? A lot of things prevent peace right now. A text from my ex prevents peace. Bill we can't pay prevents peace. Like it's been really hard to have got to this high financial level of success and then be where we're at right now. That's been really challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Men, we have this, it seems to be exclusive to men from what I can tell.
Yeah.
This terrible, terrible affliction of ego. And money's wrapped up in there.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
What happens when you get all this peace? What's that look like? I know it's a process. We don't know how long it's going to take.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do? What's the next version kind of, like what do you do when you get it?
I think it's really funny that you want to talk about peace because it seems like something I would never talk about.
I asked you what you wanted and you said
I know.
Yeah.
I know, but I also
you want to talk about peace.
Apparently I do, but I'm surprised I want to talk about peace. But what I'm realizing right now is that the peace I'm after is internal peace, not external peace, because it's very easy to be peaceful when your external environment is peaceful. But I feel like now my big lesson right now is the biggest thing that's being amplified, the thing to focus on is my relationship with myself. That's like by far the biggest thing. And I feel like what I'm after is that internal peace of knowing of I'm okay, everything's gonna be fine, you're where you're supposed to be, you've got this, because all of that has just been questioned to like such a degree in the past 6 months. I literally lost who I am.
What are you doing to fix it?
What am I gonna do to fix it? Well, I'm just gonna keep walking forward. That's all I can do, right? So.
Well, I mean, activities.
Yeah.
You know, what do you do with your time?
I work too much. I work out quite a bit.
Did you work out before?
I worked out before, but I'm working out more. I'm on getting my revenge body, I guess, if you want to say. But so I'm working out more now. I feel a lot better. I've lost 20 pounds in the past 4 months, down like 4% body fat. I see my boys once a week. I don't really have enough cash flow right now to do my hobbies, which are off-roading and Baja and things like that. And I'm entertaining myself quite a bit with internet dating right now, which is a distraction. But it's also serving, it's a need, and after when you have a really crappy relationship end, and then it's good to have a little bit of positive feedback from the opposite sex,
Yeah, tell me more about like health and people. I mean, you said you lost a little bit of who you are.
Yeah.
Is there something like when you lose, if business downturns and your relationship downturns, and that's say 70-80% of your life?
Yeah.
How important when you get to the next relationship, how are you going to still go to the gym? Like, is that something that's...
Yeah, that's a switch that's flipped. Like, that's not stopping because I feel so much better. I'm 50. My youngest son is only 6, so like I need to have lots of energy. So and I actually at the point now where I really enjoy working out. And I don't work out, and I'm also at the point where I'm finally having muscle definition in my body. I feel like this is the best shape I've ever been. I'm back to my high school waist size. I'm like, there's no going back. That. What was the other part of that?
Well, just what was the other one? Like relationships, like people.
Oh.
What kind of people did you have in your friends? What kind of people, obviously you didn't have any internet dating, but like what kind of people did you have in your life before versus?
I've been so wrapped up in work that most of my friends are not here in Austin. Most of them are friends, coworkers, peers, network, mastermind friends. So most of them were kind of all over the place. So I'm almost at the point right now where I'm having to like rebuild a friend community, because when I was running that business and having 4 full kids, there's not a lot of time for friends, at least the way I operated in the past.
Do you think that affects the other things? If you're like, hey, I don't take care of my physical condition,
Yeah.
and I don't take care of my like personal relationships,
Mm-hmm.
do you think that that negatively affects the business or the like marital relationship?
Kind of. Like the biggest shift that's happened is that my life prior to now, like my relationship was always the most important thing in my life. And when you do that, it doesn't work right, So I think the big lesson I'm going through right now is making my life about my mission, my purpose, what I do, and relationships are a part of that. So there's been a paradigm shift there that is kind of making it move that way. And everything impacts everything. Working out does, because the overall, all of your parts is the sum of you, and that creates your overall frequency, and your overall frequency is what the law of attraction responds to. Sometimes if we're neglecting one area and we're trying to make it up in another, it doesn't work. But that's been my big lesson, and and there was a lot of insecurity about making it about myself and people pleasing, and or I'm not good enough. So I drove what drove me a lot was getting acknowledgement and satisfaction from other people, specifically my partner, my wife.
If you still had if the business was still going well,
Yeah.
but the marriage was deteriorating, what kind of shape would you be in? Like if you still had the money.
I probably still would have done the workout. What triggered that was my ex, and that she is 8% body fat now and CrossFit competitor, and I'm just like, well, that's the case. So there was a little bit of spite there that was driving me. But if now that I think about it, I've never actually thought about this before. If the business had been the same cash level, this would have been an entirely different process. But I wouldn't be getting the lesson I need right now, because I had to get hit in all areas to see it.
Tell me about that.
I literally thought my world was ending. Like I'm having suicidal thoughts. I'm having just scaring myself. Because I worked so hard to try to save the marriage. And what I found out now, she was basically done a year ago. And just didn't tell me till now. So she's been processing me for a year. I'm getting the shock of it, because I was still in love with her when she did that. But it was with that and the business falling apart at the same time and having struggled, it was just this catastrophic thing that really made me realize why the marriage got to that point and why I'm unhappy and why the business isn't growing. But it was it really took, again, it was just, I guess the foundation is just rattled everything I thought was true to pieces. Anything that was false that I was operating under or hiding behind, and everything I've been using in life to filter or pad pain, life took away from me this year. So there was nothing left. Work would soothe me, she would soothe me, all the things to soothe were gone. Because life apparently is you need to learn this lesson now. And it was because of that was the most intense pain I've ever been in. For the longest period of time. I'm still grieving the divorce. We were together for 16 years.
Sure.
And grief is an interesting thing. But I'm almost grateful for this experience. I'm coming out of reaction and anger, because I don't quit things. I don't give up, ever. I would fight. I'd go to 10 marriage counselors for 10 years to fix things, right? But marriage only works with 2 people doing that, not 1. So.
Yeah, but you said you're grateful. And you said earlier you had to have this happen.
Yeah, I think I said I'm close to getting grateful for it.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, but I want to know more about that.
Grateful. Well, I'm starting to become grateful for it because if I look back the past 3-4 years, I wasn't very happy in the marriage anyway. Wasn't very happy. We were separate. There was not that much intimacy. It was hard. I felt lonely. And so I remind myself that you weren't happy anyway. And we basically got to a point where we're just not compatible anymore, you know? So, what was the word you said?
Grateful.
Grateful.
For the process.
Process. And of course I've had these desires over time to have more money, more free time, because really it's not about money, it's about freedom. Free time, do what I want, more love, more connection. So those are the things I'm after. And I realized that I'm trying to get those things, but the vehicles I had for those weren't working. The relationship wasn't giving me that, work wasn't working that way. Boats weren't working that way. Yeah, boats weren't working that way. It was fun having boats, but so I'm starting to realize that this is the path to everything I want. It's just this part of it sucks. So I'm starting to have gratitude for that because I'm starting to realize that how miserable I was and unhappy I was. And I think it was almost to the point where I was on borderline depression because in my life, I've always basically been in a relationship pretty much most of my life. And when my relationship with her just started to go bad, like it just made my whole world suck, you know? Because when I'm in a relationship, it just has a big impact on me. So that I'm starting to realize how unhappy I was and how sad I was and how that was affecting me and how I show up with my boys and how I was parenting. So I'm grateful that I'm getting the opportunity to grow and expand in the right direction here, which is fucking painful as hell, but there's also some things that are fun and good, you know?
When you bounce back,
yeah.
How do you... I love that we're doing this with the window open. It's very, very real, and vehicles going by.
Yeah.
When you bounce back personally, and you bounce back, the business comes back. What do you think your relationship with speedboats is going to be?
I'll probably get another surf boat. I love wake surf. I love the water. I love being on the water. Coincidentally, I bought that expensive boat 2 years ago. But I sold it this year, so we used that. It came in handy, right? So the sale of that. But
I guess what I'm asking is like, what's the relationship now between the material and the internal?
It's this last period of financial, a lower financial level that I'm used to has really shifted that a lot. So it's really about what's important. Like, would I buy a boat now? Not unless I was making a ton of money, you know. Right now, it's more experiences, things I want to do, and things I want to impact, you know. My favorite thing is off-roading in Baja California, so if I could do that once a quarter, that makes me happy, so.
Yeah.
And as far as stuff, like, you know, I like having nice stuff, but with all the moving I'm doing and moving stuff around, I'm fine with a lot less stuff. Would like a little nicer wardrobe a little bit, but
Me too. I'm just like a teenager.
Expand the wardrobe a bit, yeah, because I've just like been married forever, so now I'm like, oh my god, I got to get some clothes that look good, you know. Can't just wear t-shirts all the time anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me about living downtown.
Living downtown. Oh, it's fun. You know, the funny thing is when I first moved to Texas, I was in Cedar Park, which was like 20 minutes north of here. And it's like suburbs. I always lived in the suburbs, and we would drive down here, and I didn't really like the city at first, but...
How dare you?
I didn't. I liked Texas. And Austin is not Texas. They're two different things. Like it's, you go north to Georgetown or go south to like San Antonio. Like people are different. I just really like that Texas feel and that Texas kind of culture. Here it was just a little bit like, reminded me of California a little bit, but we moved to Tarrytown a couple years ago, so we were 5 minutes from downtown. And then I started to realize, like, oh my God, there's lots of great restaurants and there's lots of good music and lots of things there. So when I was looking to get out of that house, because we lived together 5 months separated in the same house, which was awful. I would have moved out sooner if I could go back. Moving out, I'm like, I want to pick a place. And it was literally, I picked the east side because you and I hung out a couple times. Yeah. And I was like, the east side's cool. I'm like, okay. So I came over here and I saw this place and I was like, dude, it's right in the middle of everything, you know?
Yeah, you've never really been down this way before?
I haven't, no.
Here in May?
No, I haven't, because I wasn't going out. I was working in Family Guy, you know?
Yeah, I know, I get it.
So becoming like single is very interesting, and having all this free time is also fun, but it's just fun. Like I can walk. Now the thing that sucks is I'm still driving an F-250. because I have an F-250 to pull my side-by-side in the trailer, and because of the downsizing, I had to sell my Audi. So basically, I drive an F-250 around the city, which is a pain in the ass. Barely fits in the parking garage. I take up 2 spaces, but you know, there's a great Mexican place. There's a taco stand there. There's a coffee shop. Like it's just so fun, and there's people everywhere, and there's the vibe here, and this area is fun. You know, I just really like it here, and I love Whistler's a lot. That's like one of my favorite bars to go to. I love the atmosphere in that place.
I don't think I've been here.
Yeah, you have. We went and we were out. We sat outside.
Okay.
But the inside's where the atmosphere is.
Who's helping you right now?
Pretty much everybody is. Like I've got coaches on my team that are helping me. Some of my coaches that work for me, I'm talking to them quite a bit. Friends of mine, clients, friends working with me. Family. I'm actually getting a lot closer to my sister than I've been in a long time through this process. Closer to my parents, they're helping too. You're helping, other friends I have. And that's been, yeah, really important. I've got a couple coaches, like I'm working with this new coach named Nathan Wakeford, and he's been extremely impactful. He has some like magical gifts in clearing up like old attachment wounds and things like that. So I feel like I'm just rising into something amazing. It's just fun.
Good.
Yeah. I guess the internet dating's helping too. More of a distraction, but you know, when your intimate relationship sucks, you know, like I was on a date a couple weeks ago, and the girl I was dating happened to drive, so we walked down there. So she drove 4 blocks and dropped me off, and we had kissed in the car. But in the moment, there was this moment that happened where she looked at me like a woman with desire for me would look at me, and it hadn't happened in so long that it just made me feel like alive again, and because that was so lacking for years and years and years. So it was like, and while I'm going on dates, and some are terrible and some are fun, I'm starting to see like my old self is starting to come back again, because I love women and I love interacting with them and being around them. So getting that validation has been really fun, you know. I'm surprised how much healing is that. Everybody's like, you need to not date so much. I'm like, no, I need to talk to as many people as I can. That's my goal, right? No relationships, but just go on a lot of dates, meet people.
Yeah, are you an extrovert?
I used to be, you know. I think coaching has made me an introvert. I think one of the challenges of being a coach is there are some times where I'll talk for 4 hours in one day. At the end of the day, you're just like,
That's a lot of extrovert.
It is a lot of extrovert, yeah. So like all my extrovert gets used up during coaching. But I used to be an extrovert, but I got into this like fear-based success chain that I couldn't stop. And then when the money started flowing, I got the acknowledgement, my ego, everybody knew who I was. It was like everything just I can't stop. And I just literally kind of lost myself in this success model of who I'm supposed to be, trying to copy everybody else. I need 2 assistants. It's like, but that's not what I wanted. So this is really nice to kind of move to the next level where it's aligned with me with what I want, you know, because I feel like all those false things are falling away.
Dude, it's common.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm guilty. Everybody's guilty of.
Yeah.
What's easy about life right now?
What's easy about life right now? Being with my boys is easy. When they come over, I've got 4 boys, and we squeeze in here and we have fun. Got a PlayStation. Why are the games so hard to play these days? Like, can't they make them easier like they used to? So that's easy, hanging out with them. Hanging out with friends is easy. Coaching is always easy. Content is always easy. I wish I could just do coaching and content all day. That's just, the good news is my content flow is coming back. I lost it for like 4 months. So, but that's one of the things that got me here. And I need to start getting my next book out. But yeah, what's also getting easy is being by myself. At first, it was the hardest thing, living by myself. Being by myself, because I came from a house that had lots of noise, barely any silence at all. So being here by myself was like a shock to the system. But it's starting to get easier because it's much easier to prioritize self-care. And I'm starting to realize how important self-care really is. It's like the foundation of anything. Like, and not just self-care, I mean like disciplined self-care.
All right. Where is Jason Drees in 5 years?
In 5 years?
2020, November 2029.
2029. Let's see, November 2029. Well, my head says I'm married again. So I'm in an amazing relationship. My boys are going into college. I'm working 20 hours a week or less because I want to. I've published multiple books. My next book got me on Joe Rogan, and that exploded the business. So I've got other people running the business, and I'm traveling and I'm doing talking, and because I really want to, this work that I do and the coaching I do is really powerful. So I really want to push it to, like, I want to make my group coaching program multilingual, so wherever you're on the planet you can interact with it, because it makes such a big impact on people's lives. So I think at that level I would be traveling and talking to amazing groups and doing cool stuff.
Where do you live? Probably
still have a place here. I'd like to have a place here, and I'd love a place in Mexico or the beach or something. I love the beach, but I don't know. It's hard to think about not being in Austin, because hanging around you has made me love Austin even more. You know,
this is the greatest city in the United States.
It's the greatest city. It is just so much fun, and like I like the warmth. I like the heat. It's nice. You know, you get to wear shorts 10 months out of the year. You know, can't complain there.
Today'd be a little hard to wear shorts. You could do it, but I think in about 2 weeks, your shorts weather's done.
Yes. I had to put on jeans this week, and it felt awkward. You know.
Yeah, it's so funny. I wore shorts for the last year and a half in Maui.
Yeah.
And then I wore shorts here, and then I get to like the last week, and I got cold enough. I'm like, I don't own pants. I've got to go shopping immediately. Okay, so what is 5 years from you now, that Jason, future Jason, what's he going to say about this interview when I show it to him?
He's going to say, I remember that. Man, he's going to say, you've come a long way. And thank you for, he's going to say to me, thank you for doing the work right now and staying in it, because it's really easy to avoid the work, go into distraction. But he's proud of me for doing the work, because this work is creating the next version of me that's going to be the guy that gets the success and impact that I've always been after. And that's the one that's going to be more happy, you know, and I could be happy now, but that version of me is just going to be happy and loving life and just life on his terms. So this is the process to get there. So.
That's all I got. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me here. So.
Was this uncomfortable?
No. Was this uncomfortable? No, I talk about myself all the time.
Narcissist.
I do. I talk about myself all the time. I just wasn't sure where to go, and I was trying not to get into coaching mode. So I was like trying to stay just topic, and I was also I was concerned when we sat down I was going to break down crying in this. I thought that was going to come up. Because I can pretty much cry at any moment now if I want to, because of the divorce and the grief. Yeah, and it's weird, because I'll feel amazing for a few days, and all of a sudden I'll be like, oh, it's coming up. Then I got to give myself 15 minutes, and then it comes back. Next time it comes up a little bit an extra day later.
Yeah, dude, I did it in 2020. I ended a 9-year relationship. Not the same.
Yeah.
No kids.
Yeah.
Not married.
Mm-hmm.
We were together for a long time, and like, it's a lot of tragedy, and then, you know. And then I met Kate.
Yeah.
And I found that's when I really got into cameras. Like I was into cameras, but that's when I got into video and like people and stuff. It's interesting because, you know, life is crazy. You don't know what's gonna happen.
No.
So I don't ever want to go to people like, oh, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be like this. Like I do, like, tragedy is around.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to be too over optimistic, because you also have to do the work. You don't want to do this thing where you're like so banking that the future will be great that you don't end up doing the work. It's good to dwell in a little misery.
Yeah.
Like when you're like, I don't know when this is gonna end. This is just misery.
Yeah.
And it's good, but then I don't know. It's you know. I think you said something. One of the best things I think you said for me was like, life has a way. You didn't say it, my version of this is like, life has a way of coming along and just smacking the ever living out of you.
Yep.
And taking away all the things that you think you built.
Yep.
And then it's and it's good for you.
It is good for you. Yeah. It takes away. It'll take all of your filters, your vices, your padding, your security blankets. It'll take it all away. If you're avoiding the lesson, and it'll make life crank it up till you get it. And
yeah. People think like, oh, I'm having a hard time. Like, it can get worse.
It can get worse. Yeah.
Unfairly.
Yeah. One of the coworkers I was working with like 20 years ago, who was like 15 years older than me, he's like, if you're not throwing up, it can get worse.
You have your health.
Yeah.
That's number one. Really.
Yeah.
You have your health.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you live in Austin. I mean, what could be better?
Live in Austin, health. The taco game's getting better here, which is good.
Dude, you were fussing about the tacos. You're like, no, I don't like it. It's Tex-Mex. I don't like it.
Yeah, Tex-Mex is like, what's the point? But they're getting better.
Yeah.
They're getting better. 3 years ago they didn't have it, but all the taco trucks are working. So
there's a place on First Street we're gonna go to that I went to.
Was it First? Was it that one that's like an outdoor and there's a truck?
Yeah. I'll show it to you.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, likewise.